Shall we do 71?
Is that a rhetorical question?
No, I was actually asking you genuinely whether that's what we should do.
I think 71 would be good to go now.
Okay, so this is a thriller set in 1971, as the title says, obviously. Stars Jack O'Connell, who was so terrific in Starred Up, which is the prison drama, which he had was really kind of, he's one of those people who's very, very charismatic, very sinewy. The person he reminds me of is a young Malcolm McDowell, certainly in Starred Up. There was comparisons between that film and A Clockwork Orange. So the story is he's a Derby lad, he's in the army, he thinks he's going to be stationed in Germany. Next thing is that he's told by his commanding officer that then he's not going to be stationed in Germany, he's going to be sent to Belfast due to the deteriorating situation. He's going to be sent on an emergency basis, and he's told very clearly, where you are going is not abroad. He arrives in Belfast, he's given a sort of very sort of basic, this is how it works. There's the, loyalists, and there is the, this is their area, and then there are the nationalists, and this is their area, and this is the Falls Road. So literally like a 5-minute kind of primer of where we are with internecine politics. Next thing, he's sent out with the RUC to oversee the RUC doing a house search. The house search then was very, very aggressive, turns into a riot, absolute chaos reigns. The army and the RUC retreat, leaving our man effectively behind lines. He's in an area he doesn't know, he's on the run from everybody, and he hides and he waits for nightfall in order to make his escape. Meanwhile, all the factions within the drama are all fighting against each other. So you have a rivalry between the provisional and the official IRA. Obviously, you have the nationalist and loyalist stuff. You have the RUC at odds with the army. You have the army and the squaddies at odds with the sort of secrets of the undercover. Right? So nobody trusts anybody, and everybody is as kind of at each other's throats, regardless of allegiance. Here's a clip.
Well, look, if he is dead, it's problem solved, then.
Let's hope so.
Hope so. What if he's not dead, Sergeant? Well then, So we've got to find out if he is dead. Not now, Lieutenant, we're busy.
I wondered if you could help with
busy,
something,
Lieutenant.
sir. I do understand that, sir.
Why aren't you out there looking for him?
What?
Why aren't you out there looking for him?
Who? Hook?
Private Hook. You'd probably know where they'd take you.
Don't you dare! Stand up straight!
You need to learn to control your men, Lieutenant. I am not here to clear up your mistakes. Your men, your responsibility, not mine.
I'm asking for your help. Is he dead?
We do not know. The situation is confused, to say the least. Now, if you do not mind, we have work to do. Off you go.
The situation is confused, to say the least, and indeed it is. Now, the interesting thing about the film is, which I thought was a very, very good thriller. It's directed by Jan de Mange, who has, I think, achieved some popularity with Top Boy on television. And it's written by the same guy who wrote the play of Black Watch. So it does, it understands its politics, it understands the complexities of the situation, and it's very clear about sort of setting up, all these sort of different factions. But in the end, it isn't a Troubles movie. I mean, it owes less to Jim Sheridan's In the Name of the Father or Paul Greengrass's, Bloody Sunday than it does to Walter Hill's The Warriors or John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. Essentially, it's a story of somebody lost behind enemy lines, not understanding the situation that they're in and attempting to get home, which is a kind of classic quasi-mythical situation. All the street scenes during the daytime shot in 16mm. When it moves into the nighttime, they move to digital shooting, and the whole thing has got this kind of slightly eerie genre feel. It almost borders on being a horror movie. It's a thriller/chiller, and there is a real sense that he's lost in another world, a world that he doesn't understand. Also, we see all the action unfolding essentially through his point of view. So the idea is that you're kind of an outsider in this situation, and he doesn't understand any of it. There's one moment in which somebody says to him, "Are you a Protestant or a Catholic?" And he says, rather pitifully, says, I don't know. So it's a genre movie, it's an action movie, it's a thriller, it's a chiller, it's a film which owes a debt, I think, to some extent to, well, not owes a debt, but it reminded me of Mark Evans' Resurrection Man, which took the sort of the real life story of the Shankill butchers and turned it into something which was genre-inflected and was almost like a vampire story. The other thing it made me think of at one point was there's a moment in The Wanderers in which one of the Bronx gangs wanders into the territory of the Ducky Boys, who are this kind of quasi-mythical Irish gang, and the film takes on a slightly surreal quality. Well, certainly during the nighttime sequences, there is this sort of it's a crepuscular sort of twilight feel to it, in which you get the sense that we are more in the territory of chillers and that sort of thing than we are of making a Troubles movie. Underneath all of this, you have a terrific soundtrack by David Holmes, which again I think kind of plays up the genre elements. It's this kind of chiming guitars and alarum drums, and the whole thing has a sort of a very moody nighttime feel to it, which on the one hand ratchets up the tension, but also kind of gives you this sense that things are eerie, things are uncanny, things are slightly out of whack. And then in the middle of it all, you have a very, very tautly done chase movie. I mean, there are chase sequences during the daytime, you're running down through those, which will remind you to some extent of... I was talking to somebody else about this earlier on. In fact, when I was first watching it, it had reminded me of the on-foot chase sequence in Point Break. So it has all these different elements. It has, as I said, a sort of stripped-down thriller plot. It is happening in this very particular political situation, although actually it's not about that at all. What it is really about is a visceral chiller stroke thriller with a terrific central performance and a very, very solid score set in an environment which it then actually makes utterly alien, which it then uses in what I would describe as a genre fashion to give you this sense of somebody completely out of their depth, in a world they do not understand, attempting to make their way back to safety and discovering that everywhere they go, everybody's motives, everybody's internecine rivalries are more complex than they had expected. Plus, it's really nail-bitingly tense.